For May the 24th, 2024, we talk about Animal Well, Immortals of Aveum, 20 Small Mazes, and much more. Welcome to Level 501. My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
I'm Moxie.
I'm Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Welcome back, you all. We're at 501. We're officially in the second half of the show.
Welcome back, Jens Jagovs.
Oh, I thought you meant like we were going non-profit.
No. We're in the second. We're halfway there, which is a joke I make at every milestone. I've noticed. I have a few. Like if an episode number is like a oh gosh, what's it when it's a palindrome? There we go.
Palindrome.
Yeah, where it's saying backward and forward. I say that, and that's the last time it'll happen for 1,000 episodes. And then for any big one, I say we're halfway there. I should probably come up with some new material, but everything is tradition at this point.
I mean, it's a prime number, so we got to have something special for that.
Maybe
it's not a prime number.
I actually have no idea if it's actually a prime number.
Oh gosh, Ben, by correcting Dennis, you have volunteered to tell me what you've been doing first.
Dang. Well,
it's been working on his prime factorizations.
That's right. I did that all day Saturday and Sunday. Friday, I recorded a stream with y'all. So
yeah,
that was a good time.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'll step off of that one then. I don't know. It was sunny most of the weekend. I got a good run in, and now it is terribly rainy today. So I'm sad and inside.
That's too bad.
Aw.
Yeah.
So it's Seattle.
Well, there's this whole thing. I'll give you a peek behind the curtain. I'm supposed to say yes so that people don't want to come to Seattle, but Seattle is extremely nice in the summertime. But the joke is to not talk about that because you don't want other people here.
Right. It's already. I mean, housing's fucked everywhere, but especially in Seattle. Yeah. Yeah. I understand. You gotta do what you gotta do, even if it means lying to your friends. Yeah. Well, hopefully it clears up and you can get out and do a run again.
Yeah.
Moxie, what have you been up to? Also, you're a little bit light on your microphone, so if you can get a little bit closer. Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
Sweet. Let me think here. So time is an illusion, so stop me if I've talked about this one already, but this is the 40th anniversary of Transformers. Have I talked about this one?
You did talk about. So last week you said that it was a thing you were going to the table read. Yes.
Yes. So I actually went to that.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun. It's pretty. So it's pretty spectacular. Seeing how many of the voice actors can pretty successfully do the voices without any sort of like processing.
Oh, like the robotic, like I am making this sound kind of buzzy just with my larynx.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess I should have asked this question last time, but when you say table read, is this as many of the OG actors as remain?
So
earth?
what it was, so we were wrong. It was actually the movie. It was like the first 4 episodes of the cartoon.
Okay. So even older. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was basically the original actors, and then for the people that weren't around anymore, it was the people who voice those characters now.
Okay.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. It was also funny seeing how much I don't know, things where it's like, yeah, you definitely animated that to be kind of sexual.
So when you say table read again, I guess what was the visual component of this? Like,
so basically they for like the first episode, they did like a picture in a picture type of thing.
Okay.
So like when someone would voice, it would pop up with them doing the voice.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, they just did the
episode, like the footage from the episode.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
did any of the voice actors pantomime transforming?
No.
Okay.
But
You gotta get in the character. Come on.
to give you an idea, I just posted to the Slack. That is someone getting CPR, and as you
behind.
might imagine,
From the inside.
yeah,
That's not how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's not the heart. That's a different organ that's being. Yeah. Huh.
It's a different kind of pumping. Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
That's really. That's an. Animators have to have fun too.
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like
So
that's
wait. For a Transformer, where does the dong go when they are in vehicle form?
It's a dongle. I don't know.
I mean, are you
front
asking
door.
me or are you asking Rule 34?
I don't know, man.
I don't want to ask
deeply-
Rule 34 anything.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that question, not even a joke one, because I know somebody will tell us, but even by raising the question, we are no longer safe.
It's
So-
still just a dong. It's just like under the car.
Maybe? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just that's the it's the rear differential is the thing.
I mean, you've seen truck nuts before.
Yeah.
Oh no!
I feel like Fensler Film laid off of this GIF because it was too on the nose.
Yeah. This is not my joke. I believe this is Zach from Video Games Hot Dog, or maybe it was on Advice Hot Dog, said something years ago, something along the lines of truck nuts should be illegal unless they are wired up to some kind of hydraulic that when you hit the nuts, the car flips. Just so
I'm just imagining. Now I'm sure there was some '80s action movie, like straight to video, that was the premise. With some sort of like gladiatorial combat of the future, where
the nuts were like the glowing contra weak point.
yes,
Okay. Huh. Well, it sounds like fun. Yeah, that's different than I expected it to be, based on your initial summary of what that event was going to be. But sounds like you had fun.
yeah, it was really fun.
Sweet.
I am a full supporter of showing up to events that you only vaguely know what's going on at.
Oh yeah.
Like, so, always have the best time that way.
Oh, the other thing that was kind of funny is we got talking to a guy afterwards. Is like, oh yeah, I was a extra in the first like live action Transformers movie. Like,
Oh.
Had like less than a second of screen time, but it's like, oh yeah, in this one scene, if you look right then, and then it like to the person's upper left, I'm standing there or something.
Mm-hmm.
There's
There's a pterodactyl chasing him while he holds margaritas.
Not that I know of. Was that a thing?
That's a Jurassic World reference.
Yeah, Jimmy Buffett got a cameo.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Let's see, Dennis. How about you?
Yeah, nothing too crazy. I guess a proud papa moment. So Milo has started voice lessons.
Okay.
With Luke's doing drum lessons, so we just found a time slot. Same time, same night that Luke was going already. So Milo wanted to do singing, so we got him that. And he's at the point now where he's got to pick songs to like start working on for a recital type
Okay.
deal. And he went with the Wellerman for the first one, like the
Okay.
sea shanty,
Okay.
which, respect. And then coming up for the second one, he had some rock songs that he likes, and the teacher was like, maybe think about more recital-y kind of things.
Yeah.
Let me know. But he landed on The Sound of Silence.
Oh, huh.
Little Simon Garfunkel there, which is
Yeah, that's weird. Big Arrested Development season 4 fan. Milo?
Pentatonics fan is more what it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Which, much to his surprise, he got to hear that Simon and Garfunkel covered them, which is so cool.
Okay. Big honor. Yeah. To get to cover a pentatonic song.
Also, Disturbed, right?
I was about to say the most recitally version is Disturbed.
Huh.
It's like mostly just the singer and a piano.
My parents heard that, and like I was talking to them once, called home, and they're like, "Hey, have you ever heard of a band called Disturbed?" It's like, yes. Have you ever heard of a band called Disturbed?
Yeah, the answer to that isn't yes. It's ooh, yeah. I did my best there. Sorry.
No, funny enough, that did raise the issue of like, oh, now I want to listen to the different versions of the song. So, and I got to say this quiet enough that it doesn't proc, but like, Alexa, play Disturbed. Like, well, that's not going to bring up the sound of silence.
Probably not. No.
And if Daddy doesn't get into the room by the child beating part of the song, we have a problem.
Yeah. Just a little bit.
Just a bit.
The way they're mixed, you really can't understand what the words are. So
yeah, but yes, the incidence of ooh wah in my household has gone up 1,000-fold.
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's regretful. Regrettable.
But also the sound of silence.
Usually to have that, you have to become a fan of what professional wrestling is, whatever.
I missed professional wrestling growing up. Did any of you follow?
I was never into it. Also, it occurs to me that I'm now referencing the 1 year out of the last 20, probably that was what they used for their whatever.
No, pro wrestling kind of missed me. I think that when I was really young, I was kind of a just perfunctory Hulk Hogan fan because that was the wrestler that I knew. It was like in my head it was like strong guy Arnold Schwarzenegger, Hulk Hogan, right? We didn't know he was racist back then. But no, never got into pro wrestling, and I was pretty much the right time or the right age during the Attitude Era, the late 90s when it was all the edgy and hardcore, whatever. Yeah, just never hit me.
Yeah, it was all an 8-year-old's idea of edgy and hardcore.
Yes.
I have a bunch of friends that are super into it, so I'll sometimes go over and watch the pay-per-view. I pretty much I could never say I'm a fan, but I really enjoy just from the martial arts aspect. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's neat stunt work, right? It's still impressive.
Oh yeah, and I still maintain I think it is probably one of the. It is weirdly enough our culture's closest thing to keeping alive traditional storytelling. the. Ha! Yeah, you know what I mean.
No, I follow.
No.
Sorry, Hollywood.
I
think
I mean, you have to have the village storyteller that just makes up some weird, I don't know, shared whatever.
Yeah.
And then climbs to the top buckle.
Yep.
Thinking of the popularity of wrestling when we were kids really makes Mr. Beast click in my mind now, where it's okay, yeah, I can see why kids think that that's real, what's going on, and blah, blah, blah.
Maybe the kids are actually okay.
I mean, still falling for stuff, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you guys think wrestling was real as a kid? Because I know I did.
I mean, I maintain it's real. It's just fixed.
Yeah, it's just not. It's real, but not in the way that they pretended for a very long time. I don't know.
But I don't know that I thought it was. Although I don't know that I had a strong whatever one way or the other.
Yeah, I didn't pay enough attention to care.
Yeah, I missed it so hard that I think by the time I got around to it or became aware of it, it was in the context of watch these cool fake things that people do.
Yeah.
So, when I go and watch with my friends, actually one of the most fun things, at least for me, is one of my friends, like I said, really, really into it. And so on a night where I don't know how many fights there are, 8 fights, something like that, he'll correctly predict like 6 out of 8 of them just based on like here's how the story should work. Just being the things like, hey, in this instance, like they don't really have a really good setup, so it would actually like really hurt this character if they let the other person win. And like, I don't know, it is really interesting, at least to me, like enjoying the shows through the kind of lens of kind of the talking shop type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll get really interested at the level of like, oh, okay, so how'd they do this, right? Like, what's the behind the scenes? Yeah.
Which more often than you would think is they just take the hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's I think one of the things I never would have thought of that I pointed out is that a lot of the like one of the dumb things is the fact that like the refs just randomly start caring about the rules.
Oh yeah, no, the refs are there to guide the story.
Well, and saying like a lot of times when they're like counting someone out, what they're actually doing is just being like, "Hey, are you okay? That looked like you took a hard hit."
Yeah, it's like, all right, what kind of measures do we need to take here to make sure you can walk out of this?
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought we were going to take a villain turn after the 500th episode, but I did not predict a wrestling turn after the 500th episode.
So like what it is, it's for people who don't know like an awful lot about it, just kind of talking about things they heard.
We got to get what's his name or their name, Sterling. Gotta get them
maybe
to guest host.
I don't know. I don't want to have somebody on here who can talk circles around me.
It's like cave shadows of a suplex.
Cole makes sure that he's only on with people dumber than him.
No,
hold on a second.
No. I mean, about that specific thing. I don't even want that to be a joke. Come on.
No, I'm just messing.
Yeah.
So actually, I should say, sorry, going off of my follow-up to professional wrestling and Transformers and stuff is, I think next week is the whatever the anniversary of The Crow. So same theaters doing a screening of The Crow, which as you might imagine, all my friends are goths. So,
okay. Is Brandon going to be there?
No.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure. So for me, I last Friday drove to Columbus to see I Saw the TV Glow.
Oh, how is that?
It is really, really good.
Let's back up. What is that?
This is a
A24 movie.
Yes, A24 horror movie directed by Jane Schoenbrunn, I believe.
So I'm sorry, what is A24? I don't know.
They're it's like a film production house.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're like the de facto releaser of indie films or art house films.
I would say they're like a niche indie art house studio, except I see their name on pretty much every trailer I watch.
Right. They're ascendant right now. I think they made a big like mainstream kind of break with that Civil War movie, which I want to say published, but that's like the video game term. I don't know that distributed. They're a distributor. We associate them with indie because they are the primary studio, distributor that does like heightened horror movies. Hereditary. Believe the Babadook, things like that, right?
So don't a lot of those, sorry, this is getting totally off topic, isn't there some like streaming service that's like Chiller or something that does a lot?
Shudder. Yeah, Shudder's another one that does a whole bunch.
Yeah, okay.
That's a good, it's a good service. Yeah. I
would argue that they started as horror, but they're now kind of like general interest or general like Indian art house though.
Yeah.
Shudder or A24?
A24.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's it's artier. Like it's arty enough that like the film they distributed, I had to go to the Gateway Cinema something off of OSU's campus to see it. It wasn't distributed anywhere closer than an hour away. It's a movie to talk about it. A whole lot is, I don't want to give the whole thing away. I want to say it's the closest thing to like a Twin Peaks season 3 amount of like dread that is induced with a bunch of stuff. Like it's not really a reach out and kind of scare you kind of thing. It has a lot of heart to it. Like it is very focused on its two primary characters. Kind of the concept is a boy, young boy, he starts bonding with this girl at a school over their shared appreciation for this like late night like Nickelodeon drama. Think like Alex Mack crossed with like Are You Afraid of the Dark? Big Buffy kind of thing. They start bonding over this show, and then stuff starts getting weirder and weirder. And I really don't want to talk about it any more than that, other than to say it is incredibly effective at what it is trying to impart into you. And I really recommend people go check it out. It's really good.
Yeah.
How is it in terms of like gore, stuff like that, jump scares, any big emphasis on any of that stuff?
There's really no gore, and it's nothing in the way of jump scares that I can remember. I'm not especially sensitive to those.
Okay.
So yeah. Ben, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, I appreciate you not saying any more about the movie, too. This has been on my radar, but I didn't know that it was out in main theaters yet, so yep. I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah. Man, I wish I didn't have to drive to Columbus to see those. To see movies like that.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I'm kind of surprised. Honestly, I'm surprised, was it the Renaissance doesn't do, like, art films?
Nothing with any like regularity. They occasionally have cinema stuff, but
wow, okay. So that you buried the lead. They did A24 did Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, Oscar winner.
Uncut Gems as well, which I have not seen, but I hear highly recommended.
Yeah.
So yeah, very cool.
This has been a very long banter section, so I think we ought to get into the games and talk about. We got to talk about games, and to do that, we need to do the regular kind of show. What with the grind, the multiplayer, and the end boss. And why don't we get started with
the grind?
The grind, where we talk about the games we've been playing over the past period of time or so. Who has something new?
I do, in fact, have something new.
Okay.
Yeah, I have been playing Final Fantasy Immortals of Aveum. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, just Immortals of Aveum. But goddamn, is this the most Final Fantasy setting I've ever seen?
So this is the fantasy first-person shooter where you're casting spells instead of shooting guns. This just hit PSN. The whatever their tier is that gets you free games, right?
Yeah, I've heard this described
as
as finger guns the game.
Yeah.
I mean they do the absolute bare minimum to change things from guns to spells. Like there's your like repeating rifle, there's your submachine gun, and there's your shotgun. They just have more particle effects and less weapon, you know?
But do they have reload animations?
They do.
Does he pull out more reagents or something, or what?
He like swirls his hands around. It's like it like literally like does a probably an offensive gesture in some culture, and yep, you're topped off with magic bullets. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I say this as though I'm not like currently reading a book about space necromancers, so who am I to judge?
No, it's perfectly. I don't know. I can vouch those books are awesome. So
yeah,
and by and large, like it works. It's a fun shooter, and a breath of fresh air versus your gritty either modern day military or your Gears of War-esque kind of settings. They clearly have the I'll call it the Uncharted kind of tone, like this Marvel dialogue action romp kind of feel where nothing's too serious. But then in terms of the world building and the aesthetics, it is I mean, it's the, Final Fantasy, can I copy your homework? Fine, but change it a little first.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. Like it is right on.
We have Final Fantasy at home.
Yes.
So my question is, like, so when I heard this described, it was like, okay, you've got spells instead of guns, and like instead of trying to shoot down a helicopter, there's like a dragon, stuff like that. Everything was, talked about as if it was mapped kind of 1-to-1. Do you have spells that are not just gun replacements? Like, is there any way to like affect the world? Is there anything that? Yeah, the idea of having, okay, there is magic in the world and all it can do is hurt people is a little bit of a bummer, and I could see
that just sounds like technology.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if it is just okay, I'm shooting people, and it sounds a little uninspired to me.
Yeah.
With the space that they're creating.
They do get outside of the box a little bit. One, just in terms of the world, like obviously, like the magic drives the airships that imagine a Final Fantasy airship, and you are seeing exactly what is in Immortals. You'll kind of casually pass people on the street that are using like a spell to hold up a cart to like fix the wheel, that kind of thing. There are places in the level where you use green magic. It's color coded, so blue, red, green. You use green magic to like move things, and there's some cool moments where like you're trying to get from point A to point B, and a powerful enemy shows up right as you're about to cross the bridge, and uses green magic to basically like roll the bridge up like a ribbon in front of you. The stone bridge kind of transmutes.
I have to say, is that as much of a dick move as it sounds like? Because the way you describe that, it just sounds like he's just like, then like blows a raspberry at you.
Yeah, all but yeah, it's got that kind of vibe to it. But by and large, like the movement of the world or the that green magic aspect is nothing that I haven't seen done in a game where it's like, oh, you've got to use the levitator beam, or throw this switch and the statue will change positions. Like it's all, as you said, mapped very closely to your traditional first-person shooter fare.
Yeah.
You get an auxiliary spell, and I was gobsmacked that it wasn't just a grenade when I got it, because it's on the grenade button, right? And it's kind of the alternate adjective you have other than whatever shoot button you've got equipped. But they went a little more imaginative with the effects. So one, you have like a lash, kind of a magic lasso that can pull someone close to you. I guess a regular lasso does that too.
Yeah.
But this one glows significantly more. And then there's another one. Oh, what's it called? They're called limpets, which I've never. I realize I've never
like
understood
mines?
what a limpet is.
Limpet, like the Incredible Mister?
I don't know.
Limpets are barnacles.
Huh.
Okay, well that kind of makes sense. So, it's a bottle, which looks like a hand grenade, and in fact, the lash, the thing you hold in your hand for it actually looks like a grenade as well. Which probably contributes to why I was surprised it wasn't just a generic grenade. But instead of throwing the limpet, you kind of shake it at an enemy, and you're like dousing them with this little blob of green goo, and that it'll attach to them and slow them down. And it's got a certain number of charges, so you can like throw a limpet at every enemy and slow them down a little, or you can throw 4 at one enemy and like basically freeze them in place.
Okay.
And that's used in traversal a little bit as well, where platforms moving too fast for you to catch, or like Indiana Jones, like crushing trap kind of deal that you slow down to get under.
So like the stasis in Dead Space.
Exactly, it's that kind of vibe. So that's fun, and comes into play regularly. That's like the main thing I keep equipped. In the game, I'm probably like a couple hours in. Has had a really steady drip feed of introducing new elements. So in addition to that, you do also have, I think they're called Furies, which are powerful moves that you only have a certain number of charges for. And it's stuff like, certain enemies will have shields, and you kind of do this like earth rupturing spell that breaks the shields, or one's just kind of an explosion around you, like supernova style, that you can do. And so kind of pulling in the right choice of those at the right moments is important to the combat. And it's clear that there are enemies, it's like, okay, this enemy you want to slow down and keep at a distance. This enemy you want to lash in and take him on up close. I am surprised that there is not seemingly a like rock, paper, scissors kind of system between the blue, red, and green magics. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, it seems set up for that, and maybe that's going on in the background and I'm just not smart enough to see it.
Yeah, they haven't tutorialized it.
Yeah, the gunplay is very, very zippy and chaotic. Mm-hmm. You have a blink ability where you can kind of dash, any direction you're moving. And that combined with double jump, combined with, like I said, the ability to slow things down and be faster than them, means that you are always incentivized to be careening around the level at top speed. And the game plays well like that. Like it feels good when you are able to run around like that. You can pull up a shield, like magically shield yourself, and you can shoot through the shield. So it's a good way to like line up a sniper shot, if you will.
A lot of this sounds like power ups from like Halo 3 and Halo Reach.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, to kind of keep pulling a lot of this in. Like a lot of this is kind of treaded ground. Sorry,
Gun Wizards is a hell of a pitch.
But
yeah,
if it's just
the adage I've always heard is the difference between fantasy and sci-fi is just rivets.
I guess, yeah. It's just I don't know.
Unless you're turning people into frogs, in which case the difference is rivets.
No, nothing so cool. Oh, stop it!
Okay, that was really good. You get a point for that one. I like that.
Ah,
yeah. I just on a basic level, just the idea of a reskin to me is not very satisfying. You're basically making me less likely to check this out because I saw it was up there. I saw people bemoaning the fact that it didn't sell very well. I was like, okay, like maybe there's something here to it, but like just a reskin, it's kind of like saying, on
the other hand,
you would love this game. It's a first person shooter, but you're playing as like a really angry gecko. I'm describing Gex at this point. And it's like, oh, is it appreciably different than a lot of it? No, but you're a gecko.
Yeah. No, I mean,
on the other hand, Destiny is sold however many billion copies.
I don't know enough about Destiny to comment. And also, Destiny is like, I don't know, the first of those big multiplayer persistent shooter kind of things.
So from what's being described, this is basically like Destiny from the alternate dimension. This is Destiny with a goatee.
It's like ye old Destiny.
Yeah, because Destiny is just wizards with guns. This is just gun havers but wizards.
Yeah,
it's wizards with guns without guns.
Yeah. It's a single player linear Destiny, right? Which, as a pitch, sounds good, but
it's competent and well done, but it does not tread new ground. I guess this is where you bring in, so like, okay, why should you care about this? It's an Electronic Arts game, and that studio kind of came out of this. They've strayed plenty far from it, but they've come out of the idea that like games should be big blockbuster experiences. They should be cinematic. They should have a really driving story. I mentioned it's got like the Marvel superhero banter in it, and is very quippy and moves along at a good clip, and. It's clear to me, I think, that the thing that they are trading on for being different is not the gameplay, it is the story. This is a very, very focused on telling the story of Jack in this kind of new fantasy world in a way that I almost wonder, it's like, all right, this is like one big world building game. It's going to catch on, and then we have an entire world to like build games out of. This is our next Lord of the Rings that we can pump out games for, or pick your giant franchise setting. This is the new Gears of War setting that we will then be able to do a tactics game and a sequel to this, and then maybe a in theaters movie at some point. It's got that kind of vibe to it.
That sounds really sweaty.
So
yeah, it's not. None of it is inherently bad. It's just not usually what I go in for, and it highlights one of the biggest hesitations I have whenever I start a AAA game. Is that you need to watch basically a movie's worth of cutscenes, or cutscenes where you're holding the W key, to run alongside someone as they exposition dump, to get into the game. And so I've watched a lot of movie. I don't know if I like the game yet. Now I've gotten past that, and like I said, I've played it enough to know that I like it, but. Yeah, it's very front-loaded with cutscenes.
So I was reading, actually earlier today when I saw it was on Game Pass, I got reading IGN's review of the game. And I don't know if it's a good game or not, but I feel like on the topic of the dialogue, I think IGN has one of my favorite quotes I've heard in a long time. They say, "I don't know that I need all my fantasy stories sifted through a Shakespeare filter." Just to, describing, apparently there's been some pushback of the fact that, like, despite being a ye-old game, it's uses modern dialogue, like modern
Very
slang
much
and
so.
whatnot.
Yeah, it's always weird to see a wizard say "fuck." Like, it's jarring.
It feels right at home with Baldur's Gate.
You pronounced awesome wrong.
I guess. Well, there. Point to Immortals of Aveum, I guess, on that front. This is a dumb nitpick, but it is so clear that the main character is doing a voice for the role that I can't get past it. It's like the I'm just a raspy scallywag kind of voice,
No.
Yeah, it's uncanny valley of like it's not quite cartoonish or caricature, but it's also definitely not their natural speaking voice. So what is this?
You're making it sound like a little bit like everybody does when they do a Sonic the Hedgehog impression.
Yes.
Whoa, my hand shoots fireballs, but they're not guns. Wait, what? Oh, there's a huge dragon. We got to go take care of it.
Ironically, the main character is called Jack, and ironically, the closest proxy I've seen is from Jack 2.
Okay.
We're going to be Grand Theft Auto and cool, and every line that he says is kind of like this.
Dennis, I normally don't come down really hard. You're making this game sound like Poison.
It is Poison with very good graphics.
Cool. I'm really sorry all those people lost their jobs.
Yeah.
See, now I'm having to pull up the guy who voices Jack just to see if that is in fact his regular speaking voice.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
If it was, I feel bad for them. But yeah, there are some, from a world building standpoint, there's some interesting ideas going on. In terms of like the ley lines of magic across the world and all the factions vying for it. A little bit of a proper noun soup up front.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's clear that they put a lot of focus on let's tell a compelling blockbuster, tale and create a really interesting, well thought out world. They just for this first outing, they played it super safe on the game that they attached to it.
Weirdly, what this sounds exactly like to me is the Order 1886.
Oh yeah, I could see that being a great proxy.
It's almost like the exact description.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally see that.
Different tone, but it's weird place, where it obviously spend a lot of its effort. A lot in common between those, I think.
I think so.
What
just
was
yeah,
that?
where
1986?
No, the Order 1886.
Oh,
the,
1886.
The werewolf game. Yeah.
the Order went steampunk, this went Final Fantasy, but I think absolutely same kind of DNA in terms of how it was constructed, and
isn't
probably
Final
the same
Fantasy just
DNA in
steampunk?
terms of why it failed. Sorry, say what?
Isn't Final Fantasy just steampunk?
Depends on the game.
Yeah. I don't know enough punk vocabulary to say with confidence. But yeah, that's my new thing I've been playing.
Yeah, just hearing the idea magic-based first-person shooter, all that it makes me want is a good version of Dark Messiah of Might and Magic.
Reminds me of what was like the Doom engine. Didn't that have a couple of like weird fantasy shooters?
Yeah, there was Heretic, and then when they went 3D, there was Hexen. There were a couple of those as well. Yeah.
I actually looked up. So, do you guys remember Dirge of Cerberus?
Yes.
The actual Final Fantasy first-person shooter or shooter?
Third-person shooter.
I didn't know that's the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could have Final Fantasy with gameplay.
It's it's the like the sequel-ish thing, the side story, where you play as Vincent Valentine in it. Like, why did you bring that up?
Well, what I was going to say is it feels like that, except the like sprawling universe that it's set in has not yet been established.
Okay. So it doesn't have the one thing that was going for Dirge of Cerberus.
Kind of, yeah.
So I don't mean to discourage you about playing this game. Like maybe it's going to maybe it'll hit if you keep going.
You just mean to discourage everybody else from playing this game.
Yeah, there is value sometimes to just playing with a big shiny.
Yes,
and
of course.
nothing wrong with that. So go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm so sorry. I'm happy that there is something that fits into the space, which is like, oh, here's a game that is, not afraid to be like just a story and then you're done kind of deal. But yeah,
I wonder about that. So all your you've got your main verb, quote unquote, guns, but then you're like, I'm collecting armor and stuff, and it's got a real microtransaction shop vibe to it.
Ugh.
Like, these bracers are level 1 and plus 10%. And
Dennis, you are describing something that was designed to torture me. Like this is like an I have no mouth and I'm a scream trap.
So we need to sponsor it on Abject Suffering.
There we go.
Somebody will do it for WoF in like 3 years. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. That's great. It's and that was probably the design target, was the anti-Kole.
Yeah, I guess.
I have not yet actually seen any microtransaction offers. It just feels like if this took off like a rocket, they knew how they were going to shoehorn them in.
Yes.
So yeah, big shiny, big fun. Not for Kole, apparently.
Yeah, that's only one data point. Only one data point. Do you have anything else?
I have now spent an appreciable amount of time with Diablo 4 Season 4. So I've gotten myself up into like the hardest world tier or version of the game. They've got it down to a science at this point. It feels like everything feels in the right place. It feels like it's clicking. And I'm at the point in the game where I'm stomping through dungeons with just like incredible numbers of enemies on the screen, and just it feels like chaos in the best way, and that's a fun point to have reached. So haven't quite gotten to see some of the new endgame stuff they've added, but yeah, this if you played it like when it came out, or maybe like in Season 1, and you're like I'll go back and play more of 3, or maybe this they didn't get it. Worth checking out to see now, because this is probably the best form that I've ever seen the game in.
Worthwhile overhaul. It's weird because like calling that just season 4. We fixed like the main thing about this game. Now, like that doesn't sound like a season thing to me. Like fitting that kind of thing. I'm not saying they shouldn't have done it. It just it is a weird fit for this season model, I think.
Yeah.
You know, kudos to them for doing the level of overhaul that they did. And yeah, it'll feel like a real letdown whenever we go to season 5 because it's not going to have this level of changes.
It's just going to have new content.
I guess. But yeah, that's all I really got to say about it. It's a great little podcast game.
Nice. Who else has something new?
I have something small and new.
Okay.
And quite literally small in the name. I played a game called 20 Small Mazes over the past week. It is a free game. It takes you 1 to 2 hours to play, and it is 20 mazes that are kind of creatively implemented. It feels more like a tech demo almost than like or it feels like a developer's like first game rather than like kind of like a full-fledged sort of game. But it is like enjoyable, and it is, I would say, worth people's time. Just to maybe give an example of like what it means or like what the game's like, is it's basically like increasingly lateral thinking puzzles in terms of like solving mazes. Or just like creative ways to have the rule set change of solving a maze and having you do that. So like one example is like you're trying to get something through a maze, but you can only control sliders that move in like one direction. And
like
it
an
is, yeah, a bit, except they're broken knobs that only move in one direction, and there's multiple of them, and it's a completely open space otherwise. And I don't know, there's random lighthearted ones. Since there's only 20 of them, I won't say too many of them or many other of them, because each one's 5% of the game. But
Oops, I did a let's play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this would be like a good stream game as well, because it's just kind of entertaining watching someone figure out like kind of the lateral thinking of it. But and it's all in the context of it almost looks like a desktop background, because I think the image in the very back of it is like a Windows-esque animated background. And you have these 20 puzzles like all on top of one another in this like windowed view, so you can move them around and kind of click them in any order and bring others to the front if you want to solve like different ones. And I think there's a progress meter that shows you as you're going through. But anyway, it's just a short, fun little game. And since it's free, it's only your time that you're spending on it. And I think it's somewhat worth it if you like puzzle games. So
for clarification, if anybody's listening, this isn't like first person mazes like that. The
screensaver,
the screensaver that I always wanted to play as a little kid when I saw it running in Circuit City. No, this is like top down. This is like placemat mazes. Yeah.
So I don't have too much to say besides that, other than recommending it.
That looks good.
Yeah. And then, other than that, do we want to talk about content warning at all in this segment?
Yeah,
since we all played it.
Let's do that. I had a really good time. So for people who are just hearing this, last week we put out the 500th episode of The Level. You could probably deduce that by looking at the number on this episode. And to celebrate, we used my Friday night stream time to get together. The four of us. Unfortunately, Jala was out of town. To play Content Warning, a game that, Ben, you've talked about before, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess you guys were all coming in new to it. Had you guys seen this before outside of my description from however long ago that was?
No.
I'd seen video when you were talking about it, and there were some memes that popped up that were pretty funny.
Yeah. So I guess for people who haven't seen the game, like you start off in this very colorful, like almost like kids show type vibe place, and then you quickly learn that you descend into this black and white abstract like horror realm where you're trying to make YouTube content or SpookTube content. I don't know. What do you guys think of the monsters or the map that you go in or the gameplay loop?
Go ahead.
So I thought it was interesting how much more I enjoyed this than Lethal Company. Like, I didn't particularly enjoy Lethal Company, but I did this. I think part of it was the positional mic seemed like a lot less of an issue, and I don't know if that was because they were, more generous with how far it goes, or if it was the fact that since you're only one person has the camera, you innately have to stick together a lot more.
Yeah.
The other thing I think is the enemies are overall dramatically less deadly. And so I felt like it was a lot less of the whole... I feel like Lethal Company almost reminded me of PUBG, in that it's a game where you like walk around for 10 minutes and then just get killed out of nowhere.
Yeah. This feels so much more collaborative than Lethal Company was. Like, Lethal Company required an amount of teamwork, especially if you were the person in the van, looking through the security cameras and stuff, or at the map. That's a cool idea. But for this, the fact that you're all running around, you were incentivized to stick together. There is just enough equipment for everybody to have like a little bit of a role. In my head, I was like, okay, so you're trying to film, and like everybody just has their phone out, or it is automatically recording where you go. So you're just trying to arrange situations. No, the camera is an item that you hold, and you only have, what is it, like 60 seconds of film, 30 seconds,
something like that.
Yeah. There's no editing. It is just it records when I press it, and then I stop it. And then it is just, sorry about that, everybody. In my head, it worked like it only recorded as I was holding down the button. And I didn't notice that I wasted like 20 seconds of our film at one point.
No, it's funny.
Oops. Like, it was just super fun delegating the roles. Like, okay, you be the camera person. Moxie, you were very good at camera, by the way.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. And then, okay, I've got the sound box. This other person has the boom, and this other person has the the reporter's microphone, and we're just gonna go. And the lack of deadliness on the enemies is a huge part of this, because you will see them coming in, and it's like, all right, what is the funniest and most engaging way that we can like get this thing to attack us and still walk away from it, right?
And I feel like it also...
or explicitly not.
Somebody, you need to sacrifice somebody for views, right? Yeah.
I feel like that also kind of supports the... I don't think this isn't like, highbrow satire, but the kind of satirical angle of like, I don't know what you'd call it, influencer or whatever culture. Yeah. In terms of like the whole thing of like, hey, here's this, creature. Let's just stupidly poke it for no good reason. It feels very on brand.
Throw party poppers at it.
The party poppers. God, the timing on some of those party pops, either intended or accidental, was very good. It felt a lot like staging Jackass stuff to me. I think at one point, at one point, I said like, "Oh, I'm Kole Ross, and this is Jackass." Before we did something, but they're like environmental hazards. Big gears that'll whip you around.
Pistons.
Yeah. Pistons, like there's no fall damage, but you will like kind of flop around. Like the body physics are really wonky. Yeah.
There were lasers once and never again.
Yeah.
Didn't quite understand that, but appreciate it.
If I had any disappointment with it, it was the fact that it was one map and you just kind of had a different insertion point every time, and it seemed like there was a random roll of monsters which monsters and where they were going to be.
I thought it was 2 maps, but is that not the case?
So it's a total of 3.
Okay.
And it's out, from what I've gathered, it kind of looks like, maybe each set of 3 days you go to a new one.
Okay.
Although I know when I was playing solo just to try it out, I actually went, it took me to the one map we never went to. So I don't know if maybe it differentiates solo versus group.
Maybe it just felt the same because of the limited time that I had with it, and also because of the visual style when you were on the surface, right?
And even 3 maps isn't that much, especially since they're fairly beefy, but they're not huge.
Yeah. Well, at a certain point, you care a lot more about the number of monsters, rather than the number of maps.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something I really appreciated, was that, like, encountering a new monster. I feel like in Lethal Company, it was like, oh, what's this? Oh, I'm dead. Yeah. Whereas the monsters in Content Warning had a much broader stage of, like, poking it and trying to figure out what it does, and it didn't feel as immediate to know what to do or die, you know?
Yeah, the stabby boys stab you quite a few times before it actually takes hold.
Yeah. And each of them has like a countermeasure, which you may or may not have at the moment in order to like, you know, stave it off, or if you're making a run. Like, I didn't expect this incredibly goofy game to be as dramatic as it was, especially, you know, either if you are alone making the run back to the spaceship with the camera, or if you're watching somebody make a run back to the spaceship. Ben, there was one time where like we were sure you weren't going to make it because you seemed really lost.
That's just my normal state.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done any better. I'm terrible with direction. Go ahead.
Something we didn't see, but is apparently in there, is there's some things where you can find like other people that are making content.
Okay.
So like there is a character that is the stream sniper, which is just running around, you know, streaming him killing people. Apparently there's also a like Iron Maiden that will capture people and then make your teammates do like captures as quickly as possible to keep you from dying.
Okay, that's really good. Yeah. It might just be that we we got through the 3. I think we only got to the second set of 3 once.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, and like I never felt like, oh, there's not enough going on there. It's just like I looked on the wiki, there's literally like more than 20 monsters, something like that.
Yeah. So me decrying lack of variety just has to do with the level of, I think, lack of mastery that we reached. But about those dramatic things, like, okay, one person needs to make it back, so we have the camera. Very specifically, the camera needs to make it back.
Yeah.
We're all going to be revived back at home, and then we get to sit down and watch. This is aided by the fact that like you being knocked around by a monster can make you drop the camera or whatever equipment you have, and that scramble to figure out where the camera is as something is chasing you around is so it's so effective, and again just kind of like raising the stakes in this ultimately very goofy game.
Especially if you are the last one left, the pressure really turns on at that point where it's like,
oh man,
we had such good content.
It's so, yeah, well, I loved how consistently the way that the video turned out created so much more comedy than even was in the moment. Like it's additive in a way that I would not have expected.
Yeah, that is
really, really fun.
The one feature I would add would be if you like have a party wipe or something, I wish they had some sort of way to still see the video.
Yeah.
Blair Witch style.
Yeah.
Or like the next time you go out, you might find the tape.
Yes.
Oh, that'd be so good.
Oh gosh. It's a really good game. It's really fun. I would like to play it again.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh. I don't know that I have more to go on than that. I just had a very good time.
Yeah, seconded.
Yeah. What is the max number of players? Is it top 4?
I think it's 4.
If it's anything like Lethal Company, there's probably going to be mods for it where it'll extend that and more items and infinite money and stuff like that. But
yeah. Okay. No, it would be nice to get Jala wrapped in because I think she would have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. I could see a follow up night of streaming for it.
Yeah.
Or just a follow up of playing it.
Yes.
I have no idea if the developer would, has a desire to do this, but this is a game I would love to see get just random expansions. Like, I'd love a fantasy version of this where same thing, but you're going down and it's like kobolds and mimics and shit messing with you.
Yeah. That would be very fun. Looks like content warning is 4 players, but there's a way to increase the number, is what I see on Game Rant.
I to that moment, I really appreciated how few of the monsters had a direct analog in fantasy or what have you. Like there was a stabby ghost, but it's a ghost that's stabby and very corporeal, surprisingly corporeal.
At least the knife is.
Yeah, at least the knife. And a random snail type of dude. Like
snail reminded me of the snail ladies from the Old Hunters DLC.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say Uzumaki, but that was pulled from that too. Yeah.
But yeah, so I appreciate the creativity in the monsters that way.
Yeah. The hands dude.
Yeah. Apparently I didn't catch, but at least according to the wiki, when he attacks it plays an accordion sound.
I'm kind of split because like it would be nice to, I don't know. I want to go look at the wiki because all of these ideas sound very cool. Additionally, I think it would be fun to be unspoiled on these.
Yeah, I'd be surprised.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Cool.
Good. It's a good game. Did you have anything else? I mean, we all had content warning, but
that's all I have.
Okay. I'm gonna go, but it is going to be repeat stuff. Specifically, I had content warning, and I played a little bit more Crow Country, but I don't have an awful lot to say about that just yet. It continues to be excellent. But then I picked up Animal Well.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, it just kind of seemed a little bit like the kind of game I was ready to play right now. A little bit mechanics heavy, a little bit puzzly, platformy, not a lot in the way of story or text. Kind of seemed like a perfect I'm playing this in bed while watching The Simpsons kind of thing. Waiting to get a little bit sleepier,
How far are you into it?
I'm far enough to fucking despise ostriches.
Oh, okay.
Well, how far is a weird thing, because like you can go to a bunch of the different areas at different, like in a different order, right?
Yeah.
I've unspoiled myself on like the structure kind of thing, or like what this ultimately turns into.
Okay.
So like I did the I don't know. I've got the bubble wand, and I have the yo-yo. And I got to a place where I could get a hold of the frisbee, but then I was chased across the entire map by a ghost that really was mad at me. I just finished the cat area last night. And the cat area, I wish they didn't do this, but there are some screens where there are just cats in these hanging cages. And the sound effect of just these really, kind of sad cats meowing for your attention to let them out was actually like a little bit like it hit. I don't want to say trigger because that cat like has a bunch of stuff to it, but it was like, oh, I wish I wasn't hearing that sound right now.
It was distressing.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously, how did your cats feel about it?
Oh, they were fine. They don't give a shit. The only time they cared at one point, I was watching a video shortly after I got Greta. I was watching a kitten video on my computer, and she got real wide-eyed and jumped up and was looking around, and she went around behind the monitor because she saw the kitten and like, okay, it's obviously behind there, and then nothing, and she was very confused. Now she doesn't give a shit. I watch kitten videos all the time. I really dig this, and the thing that this most reminds me of is like an old like Amiga or Commodore 64 game, in terms of being very experimental, and kind of sparse, right? In terms of just kind of letting a bunch of stuff breathe and letting you figure things out. And yeah, I didn't realize that I was really hungry for a no combat Metroidvania, where like you have this world that you go around. There are hazards. You have health. Mostly that is for, limiting the number of tries you get on a particularly difficult platforming section.
Yeah.
But like so many Metroidvanias, especially recently, they have a lot of Souls-like DNA mixed in with them. There's a requirement to make them extremely hard. And that gets away for me a little bit in the way of the joy of exploration and figuring out new ways to get the tools that I have, new ways to use the tools that I have, right? And then, getting that feeling of remembering or, remembering to go back to a place where I could have used something, or placing a stamp so I can, point it out to go back there on the map. Yeah, this is really putting forward something that I appreciate about Metroidvania games without something that has been very forefronted in recent design. That kind of gets in the way of that for me.
Yeah, it does do a good job of, you just kind of you can look at the map and see kind of like where the trail stops, and like where you can kind of go back and pick it up.
Yeah.
And after you explore enough, you can kind of see like, oh, I've explored entirely around this dark rectangle. I bet there's probably a room there.
Yeah.
And so how can I poke at that? It does do a good job of that, where I never felt too lost. I would say a mild criticism is after you get through the game proper, like trying to find all the odds and ends of it, the sparseness that you talk about becomes like very apparent. Or like, it's similar to like Arkham City or whatever, where it's like once you 100% the game, it feels like a very empty place and there's like not a lot of content there. But I don't think that's a problem that's specific to this game. That's kind of like a problem in general with that system.
Yeah.
Important question: how's your bubble jump game?
Getting better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you while standing on a bubble, can you shoot and then jump over and consistently yet, or are you working on that?
Working on that. I've tried it. I've tried it a couple times. I see places where it's signaling that that's what it wants me to do.
Yeah.
But like, you don't have to hit the buttons at exactly the same time. You specifically can't. Because they cancel each other out. So like, I've not gotten the like couple of frames of lead on hitting the bubble first before I do the jump.
Yeah.
I'll get there.
You gotta do like a thumb roll on it. It's very interesting that they had that in a game like this. But
something that I really admire about the design of this is each tool that you get has multiple different uses to it. And the area where you get it is very good. Like, okay, I can see an apparent use for this. I spit out this bubble. Can I jump on that? Okay, I can. I can use that as like an airsats double jump, right? But it puts you in these situations where it doesn't directly tell you what else it is going to do. Is just you are probably, by virtue of experimentation or maybe just by accident, figure out another way that this will work. Something else that you couldn't have used this for, that you would never have thought to use this for, but it was there for you all the time. And in that way, it feels a little like Tunic, to me.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've just really appreciated the way that they sequence the challenges to kind of unlock that for you. And the nonlinearity of it means that, like, the majority of the things that you encounter in the area where you get the item are going to be pretty apparent, but those other things only come up when you notice like something that you're stuck on going back to somewhere else, right?
Yeah. I am impressed by the clean design of it, because all the items, there's like no fat on them, and they're in the sense that like the fact that they've been used in multiple ways, and the fact that none of them break the game, even though one literally allows you to do infinite jump, like, and that's the second thing you get. It's still like the game is designed well enough where like there's very well integrated borders to that, like the vines, for example, popping bubbles. And I don't think it's a huge spoiler, but like when you get a disc, it'll knock the disc down as well. But it doesn't feel unfair. It doesn't feel like an invisible wall. It like all makes like cohesive sense. Like that makes it like a really clean experience for me. So yeah.
I admire it a lot, and I'm having a lot of fun. It is good to pick up in short bursts, you know, and then just kind of continue either going into areas that I'm, you know, in spokes that I'm in the middle of, or just like, okay, I want to kind of go back and see these new spaces with either a new tool or a new understanding of what this tool does. Like when you're playing a game and kind of noticing you know what it's accomplishing, you're always kind of like noting the level of difficulty to it, and there are some things where it's very obvious like what a lot of man hours or resources or you know just kind of went into, like, okay, that looks expensive, like that took a lot of work, a lot of talent, stuff like that. Here there is a lot of stuff that evinces kind of like a very high level of difficulty, but in a thankless way, where it's like, okay, that actually took a lot of thought to do that, and it is hiding in plain sight. Kind of how important that is to the overall feel of this. It's a really admirable game, I think.
Yeah, it's a very solid design, and it's the fact that the person like built the engine on the game too and did all the music and sound for it. It is kind of like a new standard for like how good a single developed game can be. Yeah, and kind of what the bar is.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Not the bar for what the normal should be, but for like what the highest.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we're holding people to reasonable standards.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And that's all I've got is content warning and animal well.
Fair enough.
Moxie, what's up?
I honestly don't have a whole lot. I'm continuing to grind through Warframe. I unlocked a new amp for my operator, but that tells you absolutely nothing.
What does an amp do?
Basically, it is a psychic gun.
Okay.
That you use when you are not warframing.
Okay.
It's most relevant that because the next main story mission I have apparently revolves significantly around not warframing.
Okay.
And so it's kind of suggested to try to get a good amp and some of your focus pool unlocked and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully next time I will have actually played said mission and so have something to say, but right now it's just been kind of doing the grind, building up faction rep, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So Warframe check-in and that's it?
Yep.
Okie doke.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer, where we ask you a question and then you answer it. Dennis, what is the question that you ask the nice people?
Yeah, it's fun to suspend disbelief, but it can also be fun to suspend the suspension of disbelief. So what games have your favorite fourth wall breaking moments?
Yeah, and I'll get us started here with a response from Eric, who says, when games break the fourth wall for non-comedic reasons, that is when it gets interesting. I've never played the game myself, but Doki Doki Literature Club tries to pull your real name in from the operating system to address you near the end rather than the name you provided to it in the beginning. Yeah, it's the whole trick of Doki Doki Literature Club is playing around with the fact that it knows that it is a dating sim in a video game. Yeah. Let's see. Moxie, what does Case say?
Case says, I enjoyed Max Payne's horrified realization / paranoid delusion that he was first a character in a graphic novel, reflecting the format of the game's cutscenes, and then that he's a character in a video game, in the first Max Payne game. It's still a classic. The whole conclusion. Funnily enough, it was the most horrible thing I could think of.
Yeah, that's what we based the sketch in the Max Payne episode of Watch Out for Fireballs around. That's a really good scene. Very memorable.
Alan Wake makes a lot more sense now.
Yes. Yeah.
Real quick on Eric's. Sorry, I wanted to pull up one I saw recently from that. Terra Invicta is like a XCOM style game where you always start out with one of your operatives from and basically a base in whatever region your operating system is from.
Oh, no way.
So basically, unless things are weird, like whatever your home country is, you'll always start out with a base there.
Well, wait. I have to go look at where I started because it definitely wasn't in the U.S.
Do you have a pirated copy of Windows?
I mean, this PC was bought. It's the PC of Theseus, but the original one was bought a decade and a half ago from a guy who sounded vaguely Ukrainian in a mall parking lot. So very possibly.
Huh. All right.
I'll let you know in a second. It's coming up.
The Ukraine, I guess.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. Ben, what does Callum say?
Callum says, I've got a fun failed fourth wall break. The first time I played Metal Gear Solid was renting it. Our rental place replaced all the game cases with generic ones. So when I was told to look up the codec code on the back of the case, that was not possible. I didn't have a dial-up at this time, so I called a friend who did, and they called me back with the answer. Nice.
I remember running into stuff like that with the old Sierra Adventure games.
Oh yeah, where they're asking you to look at stuff in the manual for the copy protection.
And then they then released them as like budget titles where there was no manual.
Oh jeez. Yeah, the Metal Gear Solid one, I ran afoul of that, but for a dumber reason. I owned a copy of it, but in the dialogue, it says, oh, the code is on the back of the CD case. The thing is, a number of items that you get in the first Metal Gear Solid are actually like discs kind of things. So like,
oh no,
I spent a bunch of time like, okay, well, the game told me to look on the CD case. So I need to look in the game for anything that looks like a CD case, going around looking at desks, doing as much as I could with the items that I had in my inventory. I forget when or how I realized what it was actually asking me to do. I'm positive that is a common experience too, as much as the rental one as well.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Let's see. Dennis, what does Phil say?
Phil asks, in reference to me banning Psycho Mantis, which I guess I didn't mention. I banned Psycho Mantis because it's too perfect. And Phil asked, assuming Fish and Mailed is also off limits, which I decided it wasn't because I don't know what that is.
That's the end of Metal Gear Solid 2 when reality starts breaking down.
Aha!
It's a 24-year-old game, so I don't know why I'm being coy with it. It's doing something kind of similar to Psycho Mantis with that, but it's later in the game and kind of became more of a meme as opposed to a shared moment that everybody had, like Psycho Mantis was.
Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, yes, I have confirmed I was in the Vladivostok region of Russia.
Okay.
Cool. My PC might be a foreign agent.
Okay.
Whoops.
Oh, well, you had no way of knowing until you ran Terra Invicta. Let's see. Mr. Reciprocity says, might be the bit in The Secret of Monkey Island, where you go to steal the idol and all of the action happens off stage, told in a sort of in-engine cutscene through a series of increasingly ridiculous prompts that appear, unbidden in the command line.
Yeah, these are great.
Yeah. And they do something really similar. I don't know if it's the same scene that Vin posted, but it's you're in the governor's mansion and you're trying to do something in there, and you go behind the screen, and then you go behind some like curtains, or you go into another room, and it doesn't show anything, but the camera like pans around a little bit like it's following you, and then the dialogue kind of like underlines what's happening to Guybrush.
Yeah. One of the prompts is give stylish confetti to heavily armed clown.
Yep. Oh, Ron Gilbert. Moxie, what does John say?
John says, X-Men for Genesis. At one point, a computer virus can only be fixed by the player physically hitting the reset button.
We're doing all the hits tonight. This is another one that stymied a lot of people. I never got far enough in that game to make that happen.
What is the programming behind that? Like, hey, hit a button that's usually hard coded to reset the machine. Do like on the Genesis? Could developers
I assume
actually
it still
choose?
resets the machine, but is that not the case?
Yeah, I think what you could do is potentially like set a bit that normally gets isn't set or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Also, it was a cartridge, and cartridges can have a bunch of weird shit built into it.
I will say having software be able to change hardware behavior is probably a bad design, but I don't know.
Yeah. No clue. Let's see. And the final one here, Ben, what does Scott Michael say?
Scott Michael says, in 2002, I moved to night shift at a grocery store and struggled to adjust to the schedule of sleeping during the day and waking up when it was dark. So on my many nights off, I would force myself to play video games until the sun came up to keep my sleep schedule consistent. But since I was often a little out of it while fighting to stay awake, nothing could have messed with me as hard as eternal darkness.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Whether it was the sanity effects of the volume bar going all the way down, the TV turning off, or the fake to be continued ending, I eventually started to catch on, and I would look forward to experiencing all the clever ways the game would continue to mess with me, until the time I went to save my progress and I was told that I successfully deleted all of my save data. I may have let out a, this can't be happening, like I was a playable character in the game.
Funny enough, is the worst thing I imagined. Oh man.
Reading the because that's the first game I know of, at least, that did that model of like sanity, and reading their technical support thing page where they just had a huge list of all the things not to contact them about.
Excellent.
Yeah. It's expected behavior, don't worry.
Yeah.
We didn't delete your saves. It's okay.
That's actually the perfect idea if you're a programmer at that company. Like, look, there's going to be bugs in the game, but we don't want to get called back for it. So
it's literally just, I meant to do that. You were supposed to walk through that corner and get into a void. It's spooky. All of the answers that I could come up with are spoilers if I describe them. So I'm just going to say, it relates to the final puzzle in 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors, but it has broader implications for the game itself. If you know, you know. The final puzzle itself is dumb as hell, but what it reveals about what you've been doing the entire time, I appreciate as a fun little as a fun little trick for them to play.
Very cool.
Yeah. Let's see, Moxie, how about you?
So Eternal Darkness and Max Payne both rank highly, but I think the one I would go for is maybe the special edition of Fear that would change your computer screensaver to Alma.
No.
Oh, that's good.
Really?
Alma being the spooky girl ghost that is the main kind of villain. Yeah.
One that I never experienced, but I think sounds like a really cool idea is there's some, I'm sure you have played it. It's there's some old horror game. It's like Au Oni or something. Ao Oni. Some blue Oni monster.
I probably haven't. Describe it.
I just know for relevance of this, apparently the monster is programmed to try to sneak up on you by purposely walking on parts of the screen covered by like text boxes for dialogue.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I never played this. Let's see, Ben, how about you?
Possibly recency bias, but I'll say Inscription.
Yeah. I was thinking about doing
very
the Darren Mullins trick by bringing up Pony Island as well. But Inscription is good. Yeah. And Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, mine comes from the fighting game world, where I think it's Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that Deadpool, as one of his kind of special moves, will beat his opponent to death with their health bar.
Okay, yeah. Oh gosh. That reminds me of something that is also very good. Do you mind if I tell you something that's related to that? A similar idea?
No, go for it. Yeah.
It is also modern, or also Marvel. So in the 2004 Spider-Man 2 game for the PS2, the first like open world swing around New York one, there are side missions where you are doing missions to track down and defeat Mysterio. And when you finally confront him, like in a convenience store, he says like, okay, I'm going to power up. And he powers up and like, he's the only character in the game whose health bar fills up and then another meter fills up, like a different color fills it up. And it does that several times. Like, oh gosh, he's going to have like so much health. And then the fight starts and you land a hit on him. And faster than it charged up, all of them deplete, and he falls over. Like his illusion was affecting the interface.
That's really good.
Is used for comedy in a really fun way.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Good question, Dennis, and good answers, everybody. Listeners, if you would like to participate in the multiplayer, go to the Duckfeed community group on Facebook. Watch for the prompts to go up on Monday afternoons. Thank you so much for posting it, Dennis.
The End Boss.
Now it is time for the End Boss, where we talk about things that are happening in the world of video games and how we feel about them. Moxie, you posted 2. So I'm going to let you decide how you're going to approach this.
Yeah, so I decided that I'm just going to go with apparently the next Call of Duty game is rumored to be released directly to GamePass.
We're going to pay tens of billions of dollars for precisely this, and then we're going to give it away for basically free. It's the dumbest. It is designed. It is designed to kill studios. It is designed to create layoffs.
I mean, it's like the Fortnite model. They're making their money elsewhere. They're not making it through the sale of the game anymore.
Oh yeah. All the microtransactions.
They're making their money through tax fuckery, and that's what gets annoying.
Can you elaborate on that just a little bit?
Oh, just like, hiding how a game makes its money.
No.
It's not, the revenue is not generated by this business unit that made the game. The revenue is all coming from Game Pass or whatever. And we can, yada, yada, yada. It is... I'm all for new and innovative business models in games. Like, the industry is always evolving, but specifically ones that feel like they exploit loopholes is annoying.
Yeah,
loopholes works here too.
Yeah,
it's like no. Game Pass that lost money, that's fine. No. And the division that gained money, that was our services, but also lots of maintenance on that. Yeah, no, that's dumb. Do we know anything about this new Call of Duty other than the fact that it is going to lose the most money of any game ever made?
I mean, you'll probably do some war crimes.
Given, yeah.
Glorified war crimes.
$69 billion. Those
Good
assholes.
God. I'm
laughing because you have to, because so many people's livelihood has been fucked. But
laugh so you don't cry.
Yeah.
Now this is just making me wonder, like, how much of the actual military hardware could have been bought with that money?
It could have bought 1 missile and 3 barber's chairs. Let's see, Ben, you've got a story. What happened with Valve?
This is somewhat of a big one. There were leaks this past week for a new game that Valve is working on. It's MoBA. It's what's the game called? Deadlock. Obviously memorable name. It looks. It's a MOBA, but it looks similar in the vein of what are all these games that are out now that I don't play? Valorant and the other one,
Overwatch. It's like
Yeah.
it's the hero shooter, I think, is the genre name for that.
Yeah, and it's still an emphasis on like lane type battle. I think there's like in the leaks it showed like 4 different lanes, and yeah, it leaked some of the images of heroes that they have. I think one of them was like an archer, like an old man archer, with like a crossbow and some sort of abilities around that. But it looks like this game. Oh yeah, Grey Talon. So it looks like this game is in the playtest phase though, so it's like relatively late in development. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know. I mean, maybe it seems like it's going to be another one of those like games that'll probably be free as a service and will replace like Dota, even though it's not exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mixed feelings. I mean, I'm glad Valve's putting out another game. Kind of bummed that it's a game that I might not be interested in, but
Yeah. Okay. I wish they would make things I want to play.
Yeah.
I wish they would make things I want to play, Ben. Can you make them do that?
No.
You're closest.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Get more people to buy Half-Life Alyx, I guess, and maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I was about to say people should, but like it's not feasible.
So is this the end of the Valve wins by just not shooting themselves in the foot era?
The weird thing is they've shot themselves in the foot a couple times. Like they had a card battler that dropped, and then they pulled. Yeah, like they've had a couple of fuck ups. Yeah, Artifact was the name of it. They've had like a handful of them that I think, they have enough of a halo to kind of avoid getting the stink on them. But yeah.
I don't. Sorry. Even if this sucks, I don't think it'll take them down or anything. Like I still like appreciate them as a company and the fact that they, they'll put out their fuck ups once every 4 or 5 years or so instead of like being like.
They also own all of the games you own.
Yes, that is also the thing. Like they are an engine that creates money by basically doing nothing. So to which I say, that means you should be making more games, please.
Yeah,
I mean,
but then I hear you. They're keeping their FPY pretty low.
I think it's probably more a commentary of like our society in the sense that it's like they're good because they're not being overly capitalistic and overly extracting of people's wealth. It's like they're just silently profiting and not being too terrible. Which
is weird given the monopolistic space that they occupy. Like I'm not without sin. I use Steam all the time.
Yeah.
Hey Dennis.
Yo.
What's FPY mean?
Keeping down your fuck ups per year.
Okay, cool. All right. Sorry, I need to do a little rewind there.
Can we call it Foopy? Because that makes it sound a lot worse.
Our goal this year is a negative fuppy. Reduce your fuppy ratio.
All right, I'm gonna stop talking because I'm cringing at fuppy. So
yeah. I have one. This is a Nintendo announcement. Nintendo has revealed that sometime in July they're going to be releasing another game. They're going to be another game from Nintendo, who gave them that idea to make games. They're going to be releasing a game called Nintendo Championships NES Edition. This is going to be something that is almost like NES Remix, series of games that I liked quite a bit on DS and on Wii U, where they kind of it was NES ROMs, but they put you into kind of like almost like WarioWare style situations that escalated in difficulty. It is also NES ROMs, but there's 150 like speed running challenges meant to emulate the kind of like high stakes, high performance experience of playing in the competitive, NES era of the Nintendo World Championships, actual events that were held like in the late 80s and early 90s, featured in the movie, the Wizard. This has, I think, 13 NES games and micro challenges kind of built into them, and I'm excited about this. This is kind of continuing from NES Remix, but also from when you play an NES game on Switch online. They have these little kind of like modified versions of them that are either higher difficulty or quality of life things, where this is this is like Zelda 2, but you have all the magical items at the start, things like that, to kind of like even out a playing experience. This is a cool thing for them to do with their back catalog, above and beyond just selling it to you over and over again every year. Yeah. It's cool. I'm not like to the point where I'm going to pre-order it. There is like a special edition where you can get the physical version with like an approximation of like the gold NES cart that used to go for maybe still goes for tens of thousands of dollars on auction and stuff. But now you can get something that kind of looks like it. I don't want it. I don't need this game physically, but it's cool that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know.
I got a question.
Yes.
Why did nobody bring Elden Ring new trailer and release date to the table to this week?
So we know
because Elden Ring's not a good game.
Oh no!
We know
we're trying to wind down over here, Moxie.
we know the release date that was revealed a while back,
okay.
June the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bring it because I didn't watch the trailer. I read descriptions of it or headlines around it that said like, "Hey, this is a lore heavy trailer," and I just decided, being a month away, I can be patient. We could, for the purposes of Bonfireside Chat, to hype up, watch it and do like a little reaction cast. We did that with the last trailer that was put out, that the gameplay reveal trailer or whatever it was. This is the last new Elden Ring we're going to get for a very long time, until and if there is a sequel. So I decided not to watch it.
Fair and valid.
Yes. So yeah, that is me talking about the story that I consciously didn't bring. I don't have anything to say about it, other than I've just heard some reactions to it, and I train my eyes to glaze over spoilers. Like before the top of my brain recognizes that I've seen a spoiler and like understands it, like the base of my brain or wherever my optic nerves go, like that filters it out. It's like at a hardware level.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see, Dennis, round us out. What's happening with Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, that remake that's coming out this week?
Yeah, another Nintendo win story. So in the original translation of The Thousand-Year Door back on GameCube, one of the characters, villain turned party member Vivian, is trans, and that factors into her story and her motivations for joining the party and everything like that. Unfortunately, in the English and German localizations, that was kind of glazed over. It made it about her looks instead of about her identity, and just kind of, people didn't get that aspect of the character in those translations. However, with the remake, Nintendo is going back and reinstating the original text. So that's excellent to see. More representation is good. And a win for Nintendo.
Yeah. It's not just representation, like it's the actual, it was the way the character was written.
Yeah.
It's great. And the line is sweet, but also bittersweet, what they restored, actually confirming it. Yeah, absolute queen. Like everybody, it was accepted lore in fact, but to actually just put it into the game, as opposed to, what Nintendo and other publishers and developers did forever, which is when they localized anything relating to gender nonconformity was just papered over. See Birdo.
Oh, that's good. Paper Mario: Thousand-Year Door. It was papered over.
That wasn't intentional, but I'll take the point. See Birdo. See Poison from Final Fight and later Street Fighter, I think. Yeah. So like actually saying like, okay, America's at a point where they can deal with this.
They can finally handle it. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
and a situation where it would have been easy for Nintendo to do nothing and say, well, the version is the version. Maybe it's less incredible because they're going back to what the original intent was. But it does take action on their part to restore that. So kudos.
So what you're saying is they caved to the woke mob.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
I like that as part of the woke mob.
Cave to me.
Oh yeah, I saw this too, and that's I intend to play this because Thousand Year Door is a weird blind spot because I never really had a GameCube. So
Yeah. Apparently, people say it's like the best in the series.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, I don't know. I haven't played it yet, so I don't know if I agree, but I'm excited to play it. Maybe keep your eyes peeled.
Mm-hmm.
That was for the audience, not for not for y'all.
Oh well, I can appreciate it still.
Okay,
I'll keep the skins on my eyes then.
Okay, cool.
I'm peeling my eyes. You can't stop me.
That sounds really painful.
Yeah. Where does that phrase come from? What's the deal? No.
Just your eyelids are like peels, so keep them peeled, keep them open. We've wandered astray. How do you all feel about buttoning it up?
Let us button.
The credit.
Thank you so much for listening to episode number 501. We appreciate you taking the time. Back to business as usual here. Not like last week was super unusual. Yeah.
Well, the Friday stream was unusual.
The Friday stream was unusual, and it was fun. But yes, we're back. We're continuing to do the work. If you want to support the work, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. If you can't do that, we also appreciate you leaving ratings or reviews, joining the Duckfeed community group on Facebook, participating in the multiplayer, telling your friends, coming back next week. All of it is good and welcome. Dennis, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
I will be at Origins for Deck of Wonders, booth 1919, so come see me there. And there will be very exciting news coming in the near future that I'm sure I will talk about when it is public.
Okay.
Not yet, but soon.
Yeah. Keep your eyes to the ground.
Keep your ears peeled.
Don't you dare peel those eyes. You put those eyes, you unpeel those eyes, you sheathe those eyes right away.
Oh, God, I don't sheathe at all. Am I forgetting anything? Okay. I've been Kole Ross. You can find me on Blue Sky at Kole Ross.
I've been Dennis Fury. You can find me on Blue Sky at Furia Games.
I've been Moxie.
I've been Ben Merkel.
And stick around for some titles. I have two. I have At Least the Knife Was.
What's that from?
The corporeal.
Yeah. Talking about the ghost knife. And then I have a negative Foopy. Who else has titles?
It's not as fun when I hear someone else saying it.
I said it very business-like because I, was typing it from one box into another. So
it makes me think like in, at P&G, brand managers, people would just refer to as BMs. No one would ever call that out.
No. If you laughed, a trapdoor opened up beneath you.
Yeah. That's how you showed you weren't promotion material.
As somebody whose initials are BM, I'm sensitive to that type of thing.
Oh, didn't mean to waken that in you. Yeah.
Oh no.
So
go ahead, Moxie.
I've got two. I've got By Raising the Questions, We Are No Longer Safe. And It's Always Weird to Hear a Wizard Say fuck.
I like that one.
Yeah, it can't be the title because of the insanity.
I've got one in the same vein, however.
How is that phrase, Moxie? It's always great to hear a wizard say fuck.
It's always weird to hear a wizard say fuck. And we could always just do the, the little exclamation at sign, whatever.
But that's, it's a little goofy. I stylistically am opposed. Sorry. Yeah. I will not self-censor in that particular way. I'll self-censor by not picking titles with obscenities. Yeah. Dennis, you sound like you were gonna say something.
Yeah, so I had just on the Immortals of Avernum or Avion or whatever it is. Wizards with guns without guns.
It's pretty good.
Sounds like an NGO.
Yeah, that just reminds me I'm this weekend going to be recording a Moonraku episode with Jala, which has the gunslinger without a gun.
Just the slinger?
Just the slinger. It's also got the samurai without swords. So.
Okay.
But that's a movie, right?
Yes, yeah. One of my favorite movies of all time.
Did we watched it together?
Probably, yeah. I feel like that was almost certainly one that, like...
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I also had it as Foopy ratio, but negative Foopy is fine as well, whatever stylization of that works. And then a final late entry from Moxie, Cave to Me.
Ben, what you got?
I got Foopy as well.
Okay.
And then
that just reminds me of Fupa.
Yes,
that's the intention.
I think that is what is driving the discomfort with it.
Oh, should I not Google that?
It stands for fat upper pussy area. Talking about the pad of fat that sometimes appears slightly above the front and pelvis.
Got it.
Yeah. Anything else, Ben?
I also have loot holes, and then this is like my con submission. Cave Shadows of a Suplex. I think it's really poetic and I like it, but I'm not genuinely submitting it.
I like Wizards with Guns Without Guns a lot.
That's pretty good.
And now I'm going to have to go and make a logo.
I know that Foopy got votes. I wonder if that will be a little bit too impenetrable, which has not stopped us in the past. But the Wizards with Guns Without Guns is incredibly apt, I think.
I am very okay with burying Foopy and never talking about it again.
Foopy's bus crashed. We're done here. All right. No objections?
No objections.
It is decided.